Charlotte Soccer Show. John,
how great was that?
Danny Brams. It's a Sunday evening in the QC, Danny, and that was the scene last night at EPR. It's about time we had some natural sound to lead us into the show.
Yeah, baby.
Greg
Producing.
Franco, what's going up? Good evening to the fellow Tifos out there, tremendous friends of the show. Drop us your comments.
Elevation Jones.
Let us know how you're feeling on this Sunday evening, Danny. It's not a great podcast tonight because there's a lot to discuss. I know that you were pretty frustrated after that 3-1 loss last night, as of this taping on Sunday.
Yeah,
things looked good at halftime, but Danny coming out of the chute, I think you're pretty fired up about Christian Lattanzio. I want to get into that. And
get him out, Lattanzio out. Let's just say it.
We need to ask about the elephant in the room.
Wow. Latin Fire calling me out, and that's something I've been thinking about. Wow, thank you, Latin, for that comment, because it was needed for sure. Yeah, I mean, I've every time I say that the opponent sucks, we lose. It's really bad, and that is the elephant in the room, and it needs to be addressed. And all I can say is I'm going to be better. I'm going to be better. I guess, how about I start talking shit on Charlotte FC, and then we'll start winning? How about that? Because I'm ready to do that after last night's result for sure. Sorry for my horrible it's why I'm not a gambler. It's why Johnny's the gambler, and I'm the just here for the ride. So what can I say?
Well, even gamblers lose, and I think a lot of people would have expected last night Charlotte FC at a plus 230 underdog status last night, Danny. I think a lot of people looked around the room and said, that feels wrong. We talked to the RSL media this week who told us they weren't playing well at all. We knew about the goal scoring record over the last 2 games for RSL. 8 goals conceded, 0 goals scored. And they beat Charlotte FC 3-1 on Saturday night. So to me, the pulse of the fan base feels not good right now. And we need to kind of come to grips with how you're feeling first and foremost.
Well, so here's how I'm feeling. You alluded to it, and let's just get right into it. I mean, the chant went around Elizabeth part of the room. You know, you played that. We had the drums. It was like a Tifos and Blue Furia combo, like awesome, fun party again. We've really been having a great time there. Probably the most packed that it's been for a match this year. There was, with the 3-match unbeaten streak, like Charlotte, it doesn't take much to like get Charlotte behind. Charlotte's just looking for a winner, right? And Charlotte just wants to support a team that will do anything. And so like just even 2 draws in a row was enough to like get everyone out, even on a rainy night. We're having a good old time. There's the music playing. Oh, they. It was great. We had the drums rolling and everything. And then we're up 1-0 and just like crazy celebrations. Everything goes nuts. And like that's what we live for as like supporters, as fans of this team, as whatever level your support, whether you're a casual fan or a diehard, like when a goal on the road is scored on a beautiful shot by Karol Swiderski, and you're amongst all these people like around you, and some are strangers, some are friends, and like hugs are just being liberally applied to everyone. It's great, right? And like we got that moment that we live for. Then all of a sudden we were just wiped out in a 7-minute stretch of the second half. We were wiped out, and the problem was we looked nervy the whole time. There was really no surprise that we lost. Unfortunately, Utah or Real Salt Lake dominated the game. In terms of statistics, their XG I think was 2 times what we had. I think it was like 3.5 to 1.5 or something like that, and they beat us 3-1. So there you go. They and it was all in that one stretch. It was all in that 7-minute stretch, right? So then like the last 20 minutes. So then like the 67th minute, 66th minute, I think subs come in. Finally, there should have been subs after the first goal, and I definitely want to get your take on that in a minute, John. But finally Lattanzio like wakes up after we're totally shell-shocked and hit by 3 goals in a row back to back, and he makes the subs, but they're horrible subs. Everyone's complaining about the subs. I echo all the complaints that we've seen for sure. They made no sense to take Swiderski off. He looked tired, according to Lattanzio in the press conference. I mean, whatever that means. But I mean, everyone, you know, whatever. But so the last 20 minutes, we're all just kind of bumming around. The party was still fun, but it kind of lost its luster. We kind of resigned ourselves to that, like nothing was happening. Like Lattanzio, another thing he said in the post game, he said, you know, the team lacked energy. And I thought when I brought the substitutions in, those subs provided more energy. I completely disagree. I'd love to hear in the comments if people think that Lattanzio is right there or if he's just making up like a dubious excuse, because I thought the subs killed the vibe of the game and like pretty much took us out of any chance to like attack and keep going and like go get 2 more to equalize. The subs really just kind of like killed off the game, and like the last 20 minutes was really boring. So then what do I do in this boring time? I'm start walking around EPR. You know, I'm a little tipsy or whatever. I just started getting the Lattanzio out. He's got to go. And it's half joking, half serious. And then we get into all this discourse after the match, whether it's on Twitter or whether we're talking to friends or whether, before we left the bar, and just like, where are we at right now? I don't know if it is truly Lattanzio out. Like, I'm leaning that direction. I definitely want to hear your take, but I do want to put this, after that whole long ramble, let me just put this proposition to you and then turn the mic over for your thoughts and some viewer comments. We thank everyone who's in there. Yeah, Hub Likes agrees with me. The game was over at 70. That's pretty much how I felt too. So, but my whole proposition here is, if you think that the players are good enough to have better results, or either it's one of two things in my mind, or maybe both. Either the players aren't good enough, or Lattanzio is mismanaging a talented roster and needs to have a fire lit under his ass and possibly sacked. So it's one of those two things. Either the players aren't good enough or the coaching is bad. It could be that the players aren't good enough and the coaching is bad. That's a possibility. I don't want to go that far because I'm like, it's too pessimistic for me. I'm an optimistic guy. But finally, John, sorry to take hog the first like 5 minutes of this live stream and this podcast, but which one is it? Are the players good enough, or is it Lattanzio out?
Brandon checks in. Brandon Davis. The team has checked out on Lattanzio. Seems obvious.
Yeah. How about Latin Fire? This is a new commenter, by the way. Latin Fire, thanks for coming in and calling me out right off the bat. That was a strong, aggressive move that I really appreciate. But now you agree with me, and I appreciate that as well. Disagree with Lattanzio's excuse after the game. Taking off attacking threats for defensive midfielders down 2 makes no sense, right, Johnny?
No, I mean the subs last week. This is what I kind of thought in the moment, that they were mixed up. Last week we had the momentum, and we made the changes, and the changes stopped the momentum. Right, like that was the feeling. This week we didn't have the momentum, and instead of giving players chances to get into the moment, he took off of Karol Swiderski, who scored the first goal. Didn't give him a chance to keep up that good run of play in the second half. And I think taking him off the pitch was a big decision. I think
looked tired. Don't give me that crap. Come on.
No.
You said he was fit. You said he practiced all week. 24 hours before.
Do we have any players on our squad? And remember when we used to celebrate the full 90?
The full 90, yeah, exactly. That used to be back when we were a proper show, a proper country, a proper club. We used to celebrate the full 90 because it meant something, and now we just take it for granted. Oh my gosh, I don't know.
Who goes the full 90? Let's
pop up SofaScore. Let's take it to SofaScore like we always like to do, and you tell me what you think. Jóźwiak subbed, Swiderski subbed, Vargas subbed, Bender subbed. So the full 90 was really only just the defensive core. Even Lindsay subbed, which I thought that was a pretty decent sub. Lindsay had a bad game, I think, unfortunately for him. But all the fullbacks are struggling with bad games. You look at what Keegan McDowell says of a great, tremendous friend of the show. Says he went all caps on it. Stop inverting the fullbacks and isolating our CBs. And it's exactly so. Like you and I had this discussion earlier, right? Like our center backs are always out of position, and we're like, are they bad players? Is Bill Tuiloma truly a bad player, or is Adi Malanda like a fake prospect, or are these guys just getting pulled out of position every time? Because Salt Lake made the great thing more so than any opponent we faced this year. Although all the opponents have done this, when Lindsay and Affle get up towards midfield, they drift into the circle. Right, you're looking at the screen there, a diagram of the field. They drift into the circle, and Vargas and Jóźwiak are kind of back, but they're not going back to the full defensive third. They're still hanging out at sort of like the 33 percent of the way down the field mark. So there's just acres and acres of space behind Apple and Lindsay once they've cut into the center. And Savarino and Gomez just ran into that space all night long without even any impunity whatsoever. And it was sickening to watch, and there was no coaching adjustment made. Lattanzio basically is committed to his tactics more so than he is wanting to do what it takes to win, right? Is that the discussion?
It feels that way. And I think we need to ask ourselves tactically, is this the best way to put the 11 out there?
Right. And are you so married to the system that you will punish and penalize your players for not being the type of players that fit into the system? It doesn't make any sense. That's why when some of these commenters are saying, oh, people are checked out on Lattanzio, there had to be a check-in to check out. I think the team was checked in for a little bit, but when you continue to play guys out of position and then force them into weird positions that they're not used to playing and didn't come up playing, and like only a few like elite managers of elite clubs play this system, which we are just not, it's time to like face the fact. That's the other question I asked around EPR all last night was, are we bad? Are we actually a bad team? And the question has to be asked now. We're down there with the bad teams. We're 20% of the way into the season already. So I don't know.
We've got an idea this evening. Shout out to Lenny C, by the way. Thanks for the comment on the show tonight. And isn't there like a sweepstakes tonight, by the way, about
yes
comments?
Oh, we do. Yeah, we have a giveaway. We should mention the giveaway, right? Thank you for bringing that up because I might have forgotten it. But anyone who comment on the video, we got courtesy of Michael Volak and Jenny Swatling, two tremendous friends of the show, season ticket holders who aren't going to be able to make the game against Colorado Saturday. They said come on, they want to just give their tickets away rather than trying to resell them on the market. Who knows? Maybe they don't sell for that much these days on the secondary market. Who knows? But they're giving them away. They want to give them away through the show since they appreciate our efforts and we appreciate them. They had a great time hanging out at EPR. Awesome pictures, photos taken by Jorge Torres, by the way. Shout out to him. So what we're going to do is randomly, we're just going to leave a comment on this video once it posts. We'll tweet out the rules also, I guess, and we'll just randomly draw it before our Thursday episode. So we'll give the tickets away on Thursday's show. So if anybody still wants to go, I don't know. Like that's another thing we were saying last night, which was, man, thank God it's not a home game because it was miserable, rainy, cold, windy, all in Charlotte last night. Made for a beautiful Sunday, but Saturday was absolutely miserable. And we're like, thank God we can like be in EPR and like watch the game all huddled up in a big group, giving each other some warmth because I would not have wanted to be in Bank of America last night at all.
Oh man, the sound was amazing there. This is what it sounded like all night at EPR. It was an absolutely great experience.
The Fury they're good people to party with. We knew this from the beginning, and it's true. Shout out, Bridget McCall says Carol did look tired. So she's Laddie Daddy's #1 fan. So we have to admit Bridget's bias in this situation, but she will at least we appreciate pushback. We're not always, we're not so married to our opinions and our takes that we can't be pushed back on. So we appreciate that.
I've got an idea, Danny.
Hit me.
And it'll fix all of our woes. You already showed the RSL 11, right? You showed the formation that they played, and I thought it was pretty impressive.
Let's look at it again.
Yeah, look at it here. It's like
clearly. Oh wow, that's a formation that seems to look like something we've been talking about.
It's a nice one, isn't it? It's very compact. You're able to protect your own space, and you don't have to worry about any expansive movement from players that can't come in and out of position. And someone that we know pretty well actually made this same recommendation. It's Roy Kent. This same recommendation here. So for me, Danny, I just I've got to say that I think that we should go the 4-4-2. Why aren't we playing 4-4-2?
So I think I know who you're referring to, Johnny, and I think it's the friend of the show, Roy Kent, across the pond of Ted Lasso fame, who told us at the beginning of this season's new premiere, he said, "Hey, Ted, you don't have the players to compete with like the top clubs in the league. You need to just play the 4-4-2, the classic 4-4-2, and go with it, and that will best use. That's the best system to use for the players that you've got." Do you think we're at that point with CL or what?
It's like it's the perfect recommendation here for Charlotte FC moving forward. It's look at him; he's pointing right at it. It's like it's the 4-4-2. Look at it there. Look at it there. It's the 4-4-2.
It's all I could think of last night as I was watching these Real Salt Lake attackers just like run into wide open spaces. Like they just book it for the corners. And I'm just like, can we just play a real soccer system that it like doesn't like the system that Lattanzio was trying to play with Affle and Lindsay, who admit I love our guys. I definitely like, I'm a Charlotte soccer fan. I think I support the team through thick and thin. I'm going to be there. Even if we lose 3 more games in a row, I'm still going to be there. I'll still be doing this show and talking trash. But like, Affle and Lindsay are not João Cancelo and Philipp Lahm and Alexander Zinchenko and these like world class like World Cup stars, EPL stars that are playing this system, and it's just absolutely insane. And so I don't know if it's Lattanzio out, but it's time to have a long talk with Lattanzio, because I actually don't think he's lost the locker room. I think like the players still respect him, and his players still remember that magic that he sort of captured in the second half of last season when we went on our best run that we had. But like, someone's got to sit this guy down and be like, dude, like, quit trying to jam the square peg in the round hole. It's just not working for anybody involved, and you're sacrificing results in order to prove a point that no one cares about. Do you think is it because he comes from Italian football? Is this an Italian football problem that they're trying to put the Serie A blueprint onto our beloved Charlotte FC? Because if that's the case, I really don't want that to be the case. But
no, it's not that it's the Serie A blueprint, but I think it's expansive football. It's very complicated. It's something that you need to take time and energy that is built around specifically the back line, right? To where, if your back line is secure, you're able to do many, many different things from a tactical point of view. When your back line consists of Bill Tuiloma and Adilson Malanda, who, by the way, I like. I enjoy him, but he's very young. He's very inexperienced, and this is really his first big-time moment on a pitch at a professional level.
He crushed it. I mean, he's 7.3 rating, tons of duels won and stuff like that.
He's very good. He's very good.
He was not the problem last night.
But Bill Tuiloma is somebody that was a Portland second-choice player. That's why he was able to be picked up by Charlotte this past offseason when Charlotte was desperate for players there, because this is a position that is very down at the bottom of the barrel. It's a position that is very weak. It's a position that Christian Fuchs was signed to play for Charlotte FC. He played 1 season, not many matches at that position, and then now all of a sudden he's on the bench and he doesn't play any minutes. So therefore, those positions,
we miss Fuchs.
Those minutes, I should say, have to be filled. And there's somebody like a Christian McCoon who goes up to New England,
the wild man, yeah,
another young player.
Talk about a player. No, I think no player in our club history ever made fans as nervous as Christian McCoon on the ball, trying to play it out of the back. Right. That was always a sight to see.
Right.
I don't know. I do think things will be a little bit better with Carujo. I do think Malanda's good. I think Tuiloma, you referenced that he was a Portland backup player. He was kind of like a third choice. It was a 3-man rotation for 2 spots, and they rotated it around a lot. He did play a lot of minutes, and he got some starts. Last year, they had like big injuries to the other 2 guys, Larry Mabiala and Dario Zuparic, I think are their names. So Tuiloma did have more playing time in 2022 than 2021 when he didn't play quite as much. He's a guy that would, and he would also sort of play defensive mid or right back instead of center back. So not all his minutes in Portland were at center back either. So I don't know. He hasn't really gelled with the new team. That's all I can say. It's a desperation signing, and I still don't know why you spend the entire preseason teaching Jarek Jones to play center back, and then you just pull the plug on the project right when the season starts and go make this what I would call a desperation signing that has not worked out so far.
Well, there's nobody else there to
Long
play the
season.
position. Where's Sobo Cop?
Sobocop, I don't know. He
Sobocinski?
might have picked up a knock because he was not available. He was not on the bench for Crown Legacy. He didn't start or on the bench for Crown Legacy tonight. Which shout out Crown Legacy, 3-1 win over New Jersey Red Bulls 2. They fell behind 1-0 and clawed back. Adam Armour,
hey Danny, as you mentioned that,
2 assists.
I wanted to show the game winner for people.
We're here.
Tonight.
Might as well.
Armour closed down and then gets it right back off the feed from Carmona. Great ball in, it's 2-1, just like that. Adam Armour's done it again, and so is Yuri Tavares. 2 goals in 4 minutes for Crown Legacy.
I mean, of course AA's doing work, right?
Yep.
Like, of course he's doing work at Crown Legacy.
And people are talking about Armour, and Latanzio mentioned him as he sees him as more of a left-wing attacking type player than a left back. He said that in the preseason, and I kind of agree with that. You saw, but that's some really tough defensive work. Can you show that again? Can you just play that again? Because I would like watch how like in a crowd here, Armour fights off. This is a guy who was like still learning how to like trust his body after a big injury, and a lot of times that's more mental than physical even. And just watch the mentality on this play. Show it again, Johnny, please.
Armour closed down and then gets it right back off the feed from Carmona. Great ball in, it's 2-1, just like that. Adam Armour's done it again, and so is Yuri Tavares. 2 goals in 4 minutes for Crown Legacy.
Just like that.
Just like that, baby. So he loses possession, fights his way back, gets the interception on the attempted like clearance play, and then spins his way through 2 defenders for a pinpoint cross in traffic. I loved it. I think the kid has potential. He's always been one of your guys from the very beginning. Like you really identified with him. He just said, was it because he reminded of you? How you played as a player? I'm not sure why you just like loved Armour from the beginning, but you've always been a big Armour guy.
No, it was just like it was a scouting point of view.
Gotcha.
Right. It was like this kid has a little bit of extra compared to some other people around him. And on the wing, I think if Latz thinks Adam Armour is more of an attacking back, maybe they need to go into a 3-back role, which I think Keegan McDonald, who chimes in on the YouTube page, which by the way, that means you're officially entered into the Volak sweepstakes.
Yeah, exactly. Tickets are up. Yeah, just comment on the video and or chat in the chat, and you will be in the drawing for sure.
But you know, Adam
even
Armour,
Latin Fire who called me out. But
yeah, he's somebody that's he's really impressive.
How about this question from Latin Fire? Do we have a designated set piece coach? If we do, needs to be fired now. We are not creating going forward, and we can't keep wasting corners and free kicks. Yeah, I mean, we've had Westwood take corners. We've had Vargas take corners. Santos take corners. Swiderski was taking corners last night. I think even Juszwiak has taken a corner. So I don't know. Some teams can be okay with multiple set piece takers like that. Other teams might thrive. This might be a case where consistency might be a little bit better. I think when Westwood is healthy, he'll just take everything. But because of his injuries, we've had like a motley crew of potluck set piece takers for sure.
Dude, we're getting some great comments, and I like this from Michael Volak, who chimes in and says, "Great to see Cambridge get minutes, but that was not the time for it." Goes back to the question, well, subs. The fact that Cambridge got minutes in this match to me, especially down 3-1, is shocking.
Yeah. Well, let's look at the subs while we're here, since we're on that, and just like we always like to break down the sub pattern when we can, especially because it's so mind-boggling and confusing. So just look. First half, we go in 1-0. Great goal by Swiderski. And we're all thinking to ourselves, we're all happy. I think the mood was nice. Everyone was in like a really good mood, but there was a nerviness to the proceedings, and everyone was kind of like, Marks was making some big saves. We knew that like Salt Lake were getting their chances, right? So second half starts, Juszwiak with the yellow card, and all of a sudden they started like really pouring it on, and like Salt Lake was just like coming in waves and waves at that point. Ruiz scores on a really nice goal. They crossed it. It was a spot where a wide open cross from out in the wing. went into the box. It was dangerous. Jalen Lindsey kind of did what the best he could with it, was just try to skid kick it out of the box, and unfortunately went right to Ruiz, who was at about 20 yards out, and just banged one in underneath the side of the bar, unstoppable. Nothing Marks could do there after he'd made some really nice first half saves. And then that just like lit Utah up, and then they were like ready to go, and they just like they sensed something. You know, Ruiz got the yellow for taking his shirt off to celebrate the goal. That's how little they feared us. They're like, oh, we can celebrate an equalizer with 30 minutes left to play and take a yellow, so whatever. And then it was just wide open spaces in the wings. This guy, Gomez, just was doing whatever he wanted out there. Nice cross into Anderson Julio, and then Savarino for the tap in. And it was too easy. And if I think there was like a cutaway, like after it was somewhere in this 6 minute of death sequence here where they showed a cutaway to Latanzio, and he was like on the bench, and he was just like sort of like staring into his like notepads and papers with assistants and stuff like that, and just like kind of like trying to figure out what's going on and figure out the subs. And I almost feel like he decided on these subs when it was 2-1, and then he just like stuck with them for whatever reason when the third goal was scored, because I didn't think, it was kind of like he was trying to react to the 2-1 a little bit, and they packed that third one in so quickly that it was just like we were done. So, and I guess Carroll was tired. So
Carroll's tired. I mean, it's an interesting substitution pattern. It sucks that that 6 minutes, even to look at it, Danny, right? Just to see it there. It's like,
do we have to?
I mean, it's brutal.
Jones, Haggart. Okay, I like Haggart. I'm a Haggart fan. I'm a Haggart stan. Even you could even say I think I like Haggart more than the average Bear. But like, why do we have Nuno Santos on the team if he's not the guy to come in that spot? That's what I don't get. Like, I think Haggart played well. Bridget says Haggart didn't do bad, guys, and I agree with her. But like, why is Nuno Santos not the guy to come in that spot? I don't understand like what Laddie Daddy is thinking if it's like quality or what. But like, Lattanzio likes to have his sort of like he thinks like certain guys just have like certain like special skills that only make them like really good in certain spots.
Well, let me dumb it down. Dumb
me down for me, please.
He took off 3 goal scorers to put on 1.
Thank you. Beyond just the specifics, just the macro of that is horrible. You're right.
It's like let's take off Vargas, let's take off Swiderski, and let's take off Bender. And let's put on Jones and Haggard, who are not goal scorers, right? They're just not. And let's put on Shinyashiki, who can score goals. So, right, we have got 3 goal scorers there that come off the pitch. We've got 1 goal scorer that goes on the pitch. And it's moments like that when you're down 3-1 where you go, I mean, is this team not fit to play 90 minutes? Because if this team is not fit to play 90 minutes, then we're in big, big trouble.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the full 90 we need attackers going the full 90, not center backs, and so I totally agree with that. I want to get into this. This is like, I don't want to compare apples to oranges here. So hit me in the comments if you think I'm totally ridiculous on this. And John, you can tell me also, obviously. But I think it really chaps me when I looked up, because Denis Bouanga, this French league guy who came over for LAFC, they signed him as a DP last year. He had a hat trick last night against Austin. He famously a couple weeks ago like flew in from Turkey on a 15-hour flight, subbed into a tied match like in the last 20 minutes and scored the game winner. So like he's like an early MVP candidate for MLS, right? And so I know that he's a little bit of a higher level player than Nuno Santos, but I knew that they were both summer transfers last year, so I looked it up. And Charlotte FC signed Nuno on August 4th last summer, and LAFC signed Bouanga on August 5th. So it's like, man, we could have had Bouanga. We could have like gone and like really like made a push and gone to this would have meant that we don't have Enzo Capetti this year, because we would have had to use a DP slot. And, it would have been a lot more expensive of an outlay than signing Nuno Santos and Nathan Byrne as our midsummer signings or whatnot, and Malanda. But it just like illustrates, again, I might be comparing apples to oranges there, but it really illustrates to me like the lack of ambition, and just like a guy who was a guy who can come in here and be a total game changer, a Carlos Heel type, this Denis Bouanga, who's like an early MVP candidate. Like I said, he's outshining Carlos Vela on LAFC. Their title they look favorites to win another title this year, definitely. So like, why are we going out and signing guys, just that are pure potential and then not even playing them in a desperate spot when we need goals on the road, when there's other guys out there that we could have gone to get to show a little bit more of a statement of intent and go, why didn't we fill our DP slot last summer with a guy who's now an MVP candidate? This is what I'm trying to ask.
Hat-trick! Danny Brams! Ridiculous! 3-0 LAFC!
That joy. Look at the joy, man. Just look at that joy. And it's like, again, we didn't go do that, and it's pointless to argue a hypothetical, obviously, at this point, especially when it's a year later. But it's these moves, these little things that start to add up, and it's like you start to wonder about your faith in the club. Like my faith in the club, I would almost say, used to be unshakable. And I've praised Zoran on the show, I've praised the scouting team on the show. I've met Thomas and had a beer with him at the Crown Legacy, so I'm not denigrating all these guys' efforts, but it's like we have more money than God in this league with David Tepper at the purse strings. I mean, he won't even spring for real grass, but he should be able to spring for some players, you think. I don't know, man. It's just like we could be in such a much better spot, and when we start the season so underwhelming like this, I'm just like, man, the season's not over. It's 20% of the way done. There's an extra playoff spot this year. We have time to right the ship. But the problem was that this match was supposed to be the beginning of righting the ship. And instead we sunk even lower. And that's a real problem because I'll go back to what I said. I know I got called out for it at the start of the episode, rightly so, but Salt Lake is trash. They're trash. They lost 4 in a row. They had 3 goals all season, and then they put 3 up on us. It's just like, I mean, come on.
Kyle chimes in. He says, remember when the front office wanted us to play attractive attacking soccer under MAR? And I'm glad MAR's name came up on the show tonight. Seems like a long time ago.
The ghost of MAR will live with this club.
Yeah. Time ago.
I can still remember how MAR used to make us smile. Staring up at the board after that first win. Remember that? That was great. One of the greatest MLS gifts of all time.
It truly is. It was. If there's a gift that represents my one of my favorite moments of year one was definitely that. And it's a great comment. And I think the reason why is because MIR is somebody that knew how to set up a defense, right? Like he was like almost annoyingly willing to set up a defense. And, Jorge asks, you think we should be looking at Zoran? And, not just yet. I think we've got issues on the back line. Carujo's out. Kalina's out. Let's get both those players back and see what kind of side we can be. And wasn't
we bring up Buanga, and it's like, wasn't Copetti supposed to be our game changer? What do you stand on Copetti? I know you've been big on saying he's like our most talented player, and I'm sure you still believe that. But right now, he's not getting the impact. Like it's got to be. Can we get back to the 4-4-2? Like that will unlock Copetti too. Like we're not getting the most out of our DPS because we're playing them so like apart from each other on the pitch.
This is how I feel about Copetti.
We'll post the pictures. We'll post some pictures from EPR. Jorge Torres hooked me up right before we started doing this stream, so I will get those on the Twitter for sure.
Copetti had a bad game. He had a bad game.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no doubt about it.
My friend Jared Jackson is trolling us here with the Charlotte or Montreal loser relegated Liga MX. The problem is Liga MX is supposedly a better league.
Is that a promotion? Yeah, I was gonna say. Wouldn't that be a promotion?
It's Kyle's not liking Copetti's attitude.
Well,
I don't know.
Okay, let me just.
He finally didn't have a yellow card.
Let me chime in. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Let me chime in on the Copetti thing real quick. I think that if you're listening to the show, I think that he's one of the best players in the squad. But Saturday night against RSL, he was non-existent. It was a very, very poor performance. And I don't even need to look at the rating to know how poor of a performance.
Yeah, his rating was bad. I want to see the stats.
Look at the
one
heat
shot
map.
On target, one off target.
There's just nothing.
60% of his passes, 1 cross. Lost the ball 21 times on 42 touches. So he's losing he's basically giving, every time you pass it to him, you got a 50-50 shot that the ball goes back to the opponent. That's a bad game for sure. But again, look at Latin Fire. Hard to judge Enzo at this point. He gets no opportunities.
Well, he's never going to get opportunities if he plays as a lone striker.
Yeah, that's the truth.
And the reason why I say that is because you got someone like Karol Swiderski who could easily play up top with them. The Karol goal, dude. How sweet was the Karol Swiderski
goal? How sweet it was. I mean,
tell me about that left-footed strike. Dan.
Well, I want to talk about the whole goal. It was absolutely insane because Malanda takes possession in our own defensive box, kicks it out to Vargas. Vargas sees a long pass ahead and sends it like up to the half. He's like far back, but he sends it up to the halfway line. And Copetti heads it forward, a headed Copetti pass that eventually led to like Bender in wide open space down the left wing, tons of time. Gets his head up, looks and sees the defense starting to set, but he sees Carroll coming in behind the play, cuts it across to Carroll. Carroll's with a quick fake shot, move it over around one defender, and then just like dead ball, just like you could see McMath like saw it, and he's like, "Oh, I'll be able to save this." Oh, shoot, it's past me. Like it was like that kind of like shot that doesn't look like it's traveling very fast, but it's actually like a rocket, and it's by you before you know it. And it was like upper 90. It was like exactly what we expect Carroll to do with that left foot. Again, playing centrally in the, at the top of the box, sliding over into an open space and firing in the top corner. That's like why we have Swiderski on the damn team. So I don't know, man. Like we need more of that. We need him and Copetti working together. Bender is playing great. Bender is like actually like saving his career right now. Really love everything I'm seeing from him. Just need to see more. Like we should have had more goals. Like we should have never been content with a 1-0 lead. We started playing defensive, but then once it became 1-1, we should have gone like ultra defensive. We should have put in like it should have been subbed at one. If you didn't sub at halftime, which if the team was tired and lacking energy, they at Latanzi was like in practice all week they made me think they had the energy, but then they didn't have the energy when we went out to play. So I don't know what went wrong.
This looked like a lot of energy to me, and I think the fact that Karol Swiderski, the reason why I asked you about him was because I thought he had a phenomenal first half performance, and if it wasn't for him, this team would have been in bad shape. It wouldn't even have come close to scoring a goal.
Mm-hmm. And that's a fantastic strike. Karol Swiderski showing all his international pedigree there. The pole pounces, and Charlotte cash in here in Salt Lake.
Oh my, and this is down to a lot of work from Ben Bender, working down that flank, gets the ball to Karol Swiderski at the top of the 18, and he still has a lot of work to do himself. As you can see, he does the fake, has two defenders bite. There's 1, 2, both of them overcommit, and finds that minuscule bit of space to sneak that ball into the near.
What a finish. What a finish.
There's no one in the history of this club, which we can say since it's such a young club. There's literally no one in the history of this club who's had as many individual moments of brilliance like that. I'm obviously thinking about the reverse spin dribble against Chicago last year. I'm obviously thinking about the back-heeled pass on the run to set up Bronico's goal last year. And I'm obviously thinking about that play that we just watched right there. If any Carroll haters, like, get out. You and Latanzio can go down to Charlotte Transit Center and on the next bus out of town, because I'm sick and tired of people hating on Swiderski. The guy's a baller, and we need to be maximizing and unlocking his talent. Shout out Alex Ventura, everybody's buddy. He says, Kyle, we have this talent in this club. The manager's not putting out the best lineup. I tend to agree that the best lineup's hard to find. It's not really the lineup, it's the system, as we've been discussing. Kyle's wondering, it's Kyle 87. Do we bring someone in before the window closes? Ride that we've got. Hope it starts to gel.
Danny, I just want to do one more thing for the Carroll haters out there.
And that's a fantastic strike. Karol Swiderski showing all his international pedigree there.
All the international pedigree.
Yeah,
there.
the pole pounces. What a great call from Adrian Healy. Healy and Kobe Jones, great commentary team. That it was nice that I think that's pretty much the secondary team behind Twellman squad there, maybe third behind Max Bretos. But the pole pounces. He's a great goal scorer. We love Swiderski. And
so how do you feel about him when you think about what Charlotte FC could play as far as a tactical formation?
I think it's all pretty much summed up by this picture right here. The 4-4-2, baby. Roy Kent for Charlotte FC coach. Someone commented earlier, and I tend to agree. Like, dumb it down. You know, it's like sometimes people take the phrase "dumb it down" and they think it's like a big insult. In this case, we're not really trying to insult here. We're just dumb it down, Latanzio, and like do the simple thing that works instead of like
play the 4-4-2.
Yeah.
Just
do it.
I appreciate everybody that's hanging out with us live on Sunday night. It's great to have you here. I think this is the third or fourth week that we've done this, and I think it's been really fun. And we're going to continue to do that. I appreciate everyone who's listening us to the on the podcast feed, like they have for most of our time here. And I think Sean, I was waiting for this. I saw this comment earlier. I was hoping you would bring it up. The team needs a bonding experience trip to the sewers. The sewers are super key. If you think about the way London works and how the city can function, the sewers, major part of that. And
those are some old ass sewers too. Those things got some history, no doubt. The city beneath the city, as it were. It's amazing how many major cities in the world have their history buried underground for sure. I just want to say, here's what my pledge to the TIFOs, to the listeners, maybe you're not a TIFO, but you're TIFO curious, and you want to know what it's like to be in. It's a free club. All you got to do to join is proclaim it. So anyone is welcome as long as you enjoy the show and pump our egos by telling us how awesome we are, and then we will in turn buy you beer at the watch party. So make sure you show up to EPR on Saturdays for sure. I just want to say to Latin Fire, I think this is a new commenter, like I said, but he showed up. He made his presence felt on this live stream. He's given me love at the end of the episode, but he did call me out at the beginning of the episode, if you weren't here, that every time I say our next opponent is trash and we're going to win easy, admittedly, I was double tipsy last episode when I said that. But every time that I do that, it turns out to not be the case, and we get embarrassed. So as bad as Colorado has been, they're coming off of a win. I'm not going to say anything bad about Colorado this upcoming week. In our preview episode, I'm going to be very deferential. I'm going to focus on what we need to do.
Not a fan.
And we can do some scouting report for the opponent, but I'm not going to necessarily get into my feelings on their trashness.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of that mindset whatsoever. I think Colorado sucks, and
that's how we can see if you trash them, then it'll be okay. You know, if I trash them, then it's a problem.
I think if Colorado comes into the Fortress and they take down 3 points, man, that'll be like that'll turn into like a real Latanzio ad episode. Even though y'all try to fake it tonight. Like
I know I couldn't commit. I don't know. Maybe the Laddie Daddy fans talked me out of it. I was ready to come here. My take was, you remember how last year we did the murder mystery episode when we fell out of the playoff contention, and we were like,
the case is still open.
Yeah, and we fingered Latanzio for killing the playoff dream by experimenting too much with the lineups. Well. Yeah. The killer is still at large. So the case is still being worked on. Detectives are getting new evidence in the crime lab all the time, and we are building something to take to the grand jury for sure. And who knows if there'll be an indictment, but the wheels of justice turn slowly, but they do turn. So.
Oh man, it's like we gotta get Jimmy McNulty on the case.
Yeah, yes, thank you.
Because there's no doubt that the Latanzio is still at large. Listen, I've got nothing but high hopes for this club, and nothing but high hopes for the future of it, especially with Christian Latanzio as manager, right? Saturday comes around against Colorado, you get 3 points, and you move on, and you keep going, and you keep going. But giving up 3 goals in a 6-minute span, getting substitutions wrong back-to-back weeks, It's obviously not a good place to be, and it seems like it's pretty clear that the fan base 2 years in a row has wanted a manager out. AR got the sack last year. Will Christian Latanzio get the sack this year? That's to be determined, but it's something that could at this point become a real conversation. And if that and I just want to highlight the fact that anytime that conversation comes up, you ask, well, who could potentially step in and be the manager? And we've got our guy.
Roy Kent for Charlotte FC. It's the only move. The only move left. It's the only card we have left to play in the deck at this point. So
we've got a guy. Danny, it's been a pleasure doing the show tonight. Thanks everybody for hanging out.
I wasn't even drinking. I was drinking water. That's how pissed off I am.
Yeah, it was an important show to have. And I think we'll be back later this week. We've got a big show coming up this weekend at the Keep. We're going to be there as well. So we've got a home matchup weekend. Make sure you do us a favor. Do us a favor and follow us at For the Crown Baby. You can find us on YouTube at Charlotte Soccer Show, where Brandon Davis is always chatting with us. Appreciate you. He's here. He's there. He's every fucking where. Bronny.
The Bronny. We didn't even get to the Bronny discussion. We could have. Oh my gosh, that might be a Patreon episode about the true feelings of where we stand with Bronny. But too many other things went wrong. Unfortunately, it's not necessarily his fault.
It's been a pleasure. I appreciate you, Danny. And as always,
For the Crown Baby.